Welcome back to Mystery Minds, the channel where we dive into the darkest corners of true crime, uncovering stories that shock, intrigue, and leave us questioning the world around us. In today's case, we bring you a chilling and twisted tale, one of obsession, fame, and a tragic loss. This is the story of Christina Grimmie, a talented young YouTube star whose bright future was extinguished by a sinister stalker. A tale of admiration turned deadly. This case will leave you wondering, how far can obsession go before it becomes a fatal threat? And how do we recognize the dangers that often lurk in plain sight? Stay with us as we unravel the dark and tragic story of Christina Grimmie. In 2016, millions of fans adored Christina Grimmie for her angelic voice and infectious personality. But one obsessed fan saw her differently, not as a star, but as an object of unhealthy fixation. What started as admiration ended in an act so horrifying that it left an entire nation in shock. Christina Grimmie was a beacon of talent and charisma, a young artist whose journey captivated millions. Her story began humbly, singing in her bedroom and sharing her passion with the world through YouTube. Christina's unique voice, a blend of power and emotion, quickly set her apart. Her covers of popular songs, such as Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA in August 2009 and Nelly's Just a Dream, the same year showcased not only her vocal ability but also her creativity in reimagining hits. Her natural charm and down-to-earth personality made her more than just a singer to her fans. She felt like a friend. This connection was the foundation of her rapid rise to fame. As her channel grew, Christina's dedication to her craft became evident. She was not just a performer, she was an artist deeply committed to her music. Her channel wasn't filled with flashy effects or over-the-top production, it was her voice, her keyboard, and her heart. Fans resonated with her authenticity and sincerity, and the world started to take notice. By the time she was discovered by Selena Gomez's mother, Mandy Teefey and her husband Brian soon became Grimmie's managers. She had already amassed a substantial following. With Teefey as her managers, doors began to open for Christina that she had only dreamed of. Her big break came when she auditioned for The Voice in 2014. Her blind audition left the judges stunned, and her performance went viral, propelling her into mainstream fame. Christina didn't just participate, she dominated, making it to the final three and solidifying her place as one of the most promising young artists of her generation. Her fan base, affectionately called Frans, grew exponentially, and Christina was more than ready to take on the world. She was on the cusp of a thriving career, with recording contracts, collaborations, and live performances on the horizon. But as her fame grew, so did the challenges that came with it. Christina's connection to her fans was part of what made her so beloved. She often spent time engaging with them on social media, reading their messages, and sharing snippets of her life. She was known for her warmth and accessibility, making time for meet and greets after performances and expressing genuine gratitude for their support. However, this openness made her vulnerable in ways she may not have realized. Among the millions who adored her were a few whose admiration went beyond healthy appreciation. The more Christina's star rose, the more she attracted attention from those with darker intentions. Fame is a double-edged sword, and while Christina relished the love and support from her fans, it also put her under the watchful eyes of individuals who blurred the line between admiration and obsession. Despite the challenges, Christina remained optimistic and focused on her dreams. She poured herself into her music, creating original songs that reflected her personality and beliefs. Her family, particularly her brother Marcus, played a crucial role in her life, offering support and guidance as she navigated the complexities of the music industry. Together, they were a team, bound not just by blood but by shared ambition. As Christina's career reached new heights, her schedule became busier. She was constantly on the road, performing for adoring crowds and meeting fans who had supported her journey from the very beginning. To Christina, these meet and greets were more than just events. They were a way to give back, to thank the people who had helped her achieve her dreams. She never viewed herself as untouchable or distant, and her fans loved her all the more for it. What Christina couldn't have known was that among the fans who lined up to meet her, there was one who harbored a dangerous obsession. This individual, whose life had become consumed by thoughts of Christina, would soon shatter the world she had so carefully built. While her focus remained on her music and her fans, the shadows of fame began to close in around her. The life she had worked so hard to create was about to be forever altered by a threat she never saw coming. Kevin James Loibl was an unassuming man, the kind of person who could easily fade into the background. To his neighbors and acquaintances, he appeared quiet, introverted, and largely harmless. But beneath this exterior was a mind consumed by a dangerous obsession. He had discovered Christina Grimmie through her YouTube channel years earlier, and what began as admiration quickly escalated into something far darker. Kevin's fascination with Christina grew with every video he watched, every post he scrolled through, and every song she sang. For him, she wasn't just a talented singer, she was a fantasy, an ideal he believed was meant for him alone. Kevin spent countless hours immersed in Christina's online presence, replaying her videos and dissecting every detail. He memorized the way she smiled, the way her hands moved across the keyboard, and the expressions she made while singing. To him, these weren't just performances, they were personal moments shared between them. In his mind, a bond existed, a connection she didn't even know about. As Christina's fame grew and her fan base expanded, Kevin's obsession only deepened. He began to feel as though he had to compete for her attention, a battle he could never win. He started purchasing anything he could find associated with her albums, posters, merchandise, building a shrine of sorts in his apartment. He wrote letters to her, pouring out his thoughts and feelings, though he never sent them. His writings revealed a troubling pattern of delusion, filled with fantasies about meeting her, winning her love, and building a life together. At first, these fantasies seemed harmless, but over time they grew darker. Kevin became frustrated, convinced that Christina wasn't acknowledging the connection he believed they shared. He interpreted her interactions with other fans as betrayals and saw her rising stardom as a barrier keeping her away from him. As months turned into years, Kevin began to isolate himself further from the outside world. His obsession with Christina consumed his every thought. Friends and family noticed changes in his behavior, but chalked it up to his introverted nature. To them, he was just a lonely man who found solace in the music of a YouTube star. They had no idea how far his fixation had gone. Kevin's mind became a breeding ground for resentment and entitlement. He convinced himself that Christina owed him something, a meeting, recognition, or even love. He believed he had invested so much of himself in her that she was no longer just a singer he admired, she was a part of his life, whether she knew it or not. As Christina continued to engage with her fans through social media and live events, Kevin followed her every move. He tracked her tour dates, memorized her schedule, and meticulously planned ways to get closer to her. He began attending her concerts, blending in with the crowds of adoring fans. To anyone watching, he was just another supporter. But Kevin wasn't there for the music or the experience, he was there for her. Each time he saw her, even from a distance, his obsession grew stronger. His frustration boiled over when he realized that no matter how many events he attended or how many comments he left on her posts, Christina remained oblivious to his existence. He interpreted her lack of response as a deliberate slight, feeding the delusions that she was purposefully ignoring him. Kevin's fixation, once fueled by admiration, had morphed into something far more dangerous. He began to resent the very person he idolized. He blamed her for not noticing him, for not reciprocating the feelings he had convinced himself were mutual. In the months leading up to Christina's final performance, Kevin's behavior became increasingly erratic. He started making plans that would ensure she could no longer ignore him. He purchased 2 firearms and began practicing with them, under the guise of self-defense. To those around him, his actions seemed unusual but not alarming. Kevin's quiet nature and lack of a criminal record allowed him to avoid drawing any attention. He went unnoticed, even as he spiraled deeper into his delusions. Kevin's obsession had reached its breaking point. He was no longer content to admire Christina from afar. In his mind, the only way to resolve his frustration was to confront her directly. He convinced himself that their meeting was inevitable, and that, once it happened, everything would fall into place. What he didn't reveal to anyone, what no one could have predicted, was how far he was willing to go to force that meeting. While Christina prepared for another routine concert and meet and greet, Kevin finalized the details of a plan that would shock the world and devastate those who loved her. On June 10, 2016, Christina Grimmie was preparing for what seemed like an ordinary night in her rising career. She was performing at the Plaza Live in Orlando, Florida, a modest venue perfect for connecting with her fans in an intimate setting. It was the kind of event Christina cherished, an opportunity to share her music and meet the people who supported her from her early YouTube days. Her schedule was packed, as always, but her excitement for performing never wavered. That evening, she took the stage with her usual energy, captivating the audience with her voice and heartfelt performances. The crowd was filled with fans who adored her, cheering for every song and savoring the experience of seeing her live. Among them was Kevin James Loibl. He had arrived at the venue earlier that day, blending in effortlessly with the other attendees. For him, this wasn't just a concert, it was the culmination of years of obsession, and the moment he believed he was destined to meet Christina. Hidden beneath his unassuming appearance was a chilling reality. Kevin had come armed with 2 handguns and a twisted plan. As Christina wrapped up her set, the atmosphere in the room was electric. Fans were eager for the chance to meet her during the post-show meet and greet, an event she always made a priority. Despite her growing fame, Christina remained devoted to making personal connections with her supporters. She saw these moments as an opportunity to give back to the people who believed in her, signing autographs, posing for pictures, and chatting warmly with everyone she met. For her, it was an extension of her gratitude, a chance to share a little bit of her joy with the world. The meet and greet began shortly after the show. Fans lined up, some clutching posters and CDs, others with stories of how her music had touched their lives. Christina greeted each person with a smile, her kind demeanor making every interaction feel genuine. As the line moved forward, the atmosphere remained lighthearted and filled with excitement. No one could have imagined the danger that lurked just steps away. Kevin waited patiently in line, his movements calm and calculated. To the others around him, he was just another fan eager to meet his favorite singer. But in his mind, the moment he had been obsessing over for years was finally within reach. As he approached Christina, his emotions were a volatile mix of admiration, resentment, and anger. In those final seconds, the line between fantasy and reality blurred completely. When it was Kevin's turn, he stepped forward with deliberate precision. Christina opened her arms to hug him. Without hesitation, he pulled out a handgun and opened fire, shooting Christina 3 times. The room erupted into chaos as fans screamed and scattered, many unsure of what had just happened. Christina's brother, Marcus, who had been by her side throughout her career, acted immediately. He tackled Kevin to the ground in an attempt to stop him, but the damage had already been done. Amid the struggle, Kevin managed to free himself briefly. Before anyone could intervene further, he turned the gun on himself and ended his own life. The entire incident unfolded in a matter of moments, leaving those in attendance stunned and horrified. Emergency responders were called to the scene, and Christina was rushed to the hospital. Despite the best efforts of medical professionals, her injuries were too severe. She was pronounced dead later that night. She had been shot once in the head and twice in the chest. News of the attack spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the music and YouTube communities. Fans, friends, and family were left reeling, unable to comprehend how a celebration had turned into a nightmare. The venue, once filled with joy and music, became a crime scene marked by grief and unanswered questions. As the investigation began, details about Kevin James Loibl emerged, painting a disturbing picture of obsession and premeditation. What remained unclear was how he had been able to carry out such a heinous act. Christina, known for her kindness and generosity, had unknowingly opened her heart to someone whose intentions were anything but pure. While the world mourned her loss, one question loomed large: could this tragedy have been prevented? In the days following Christina Grimmie's tragic death, the shock reverberated far beyond the walls of the Plaza Live. Fans around the globe mourned the loss of a young star whose light had been extinguished far too soon. Vigils were held, candles lit in her memory, and social media flooded with tributes from those whose lives she had touched. But alongside the outpouring of grief came questions that demanded answers. How had this happened? How had a man with such sinister intentions been allowed to get so close to her? And were there warning signs that might have been missed? As law enforcement delved into the case, they pieced together the events leading up to that fateful night. Kevin James Loibl had traveled from his home in St. Petersburg, Florida, to Orlando with a clear and chilling purpose. The investigation revealed that he had purchased 2 firearms legally, exploiting a system that didn't require extensive background checks for private gun sales in Florida. 2 extra magazines full of ammunition and a large hunting knife. Orlando Police Chief John Mina stated that the suspect traveled to Orlando apparently to commit this crime and then had plans to travel back to where he came from despite his growing obsession and troubling mental state. Kevin had no prior criminal record or history of violence that might have raised red flags. This allowed him to plan his attack undetected. The lack of security measures at the venue became another focal point of the investigation. The Plaza Live did not have metal detectors or thorough bag checks in place that night, something that many believed could have prevented Kevin from entering armed. While some fans recalled minimal security presence at the door, others admitted that it was not uncommon for smaller venues to have looser protocols. Some witnesses said security was concerned about food and beverages being brought into the theater, but did not catch Leibel's guns. The tragedy highlighted a glaring vulnerability in the safety of performers in public events, especially for artists like Christina, who valued closeness with her fans and frequently participated in meet and greets. Beyond the logistical oversights, the deeper, more haunting question lingered: could Kevin's behavior have been identified as dangerous before it escalated to violence? As investigators examined his online activity and personal life, a troubling pattern of obsession and delusion came into focus. Kevin's social media accounts contained no overt threats, but his private writings revealed years of fixation on Christina. He had kept a journal, discovered in his car after the attack, filled with entries that chronicled his unrelenting thoughts about her. These writings oscillated between adoration and resentment, with disturbing passages outlining his belief that Christina belonged to him and fantasies about forcing her to notice him. While his behavior may have seemed harmless to those who knew him casually, the journal painted a picture of a man spiraling into a dangerous mindset. Kevin had cut himself off from friends and family, withdrawing into a world where Christina was the center of his reality. Despite this, no one in his life had reported him as a potential threat, partly because he had managed to hide the true extent of his obsession. For Christina's family and fans, the knowledge of Kevin's careful planning only deepened the heartbreak. His decision to bring 2 loaded weapons to the venue demonstrated a chilling level of premeditation. Yet the investigation also revealed just how carefully he had concealed his intentions, leaving few opportunities for intervention. It was a painful reminder of how difficult it can be to identify the warning signs of an unstable individual until it's too late. The aftermath of the attack also spurred wider discussions about the vulnerabilities of public figures in the digital age. Christina's open and accessible nature, which endeared her to so many, may have inadvertently made her a target. Her willingness to engage with fans, respond to their messages, and participate in intimate meet and greets had always been part of her charm, but it also exposed her to risks that were not fully understood at the time. The tragedy underscored the need for greater awareness of the potential dangers that come with fame, particularly for young artists navigating the challenges of connecting with a massive online audience. As these discussions unfolded, Christina's family faced the unbearable task of processing their grief while grappling with the unanswered questions surrounding her death. They were left to wonder if stricter security, more thorough gun control measures, or greater awareness of stalking behaviors could have saved her life. While the investigation provided some clarity about Kevin's motives and actions, it could never undo the devastating loss of a daughter, sister, and friend. Christina's story became a catalyst for reflection and change, but for those who loved her, it was a tragedy that would forever remain incomprehensible. The lingering sense of what if cast a shadow over every revelation, leaving the world to wonder if her fate might have been different had even one detail of that night gone another way. On June 16th, Grimmie was buried at Berlin Cemetery in a private ceremony. Christina Grimmie's death sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, igniting conversations about security, mental health, and the dangers public figures face in the age of digital connectivity. In the weeks that followed, tributes continued to pour in from fans, fellow artists, and celebrities who had been inspired by her talent and kindness. Christina was remembered not only for her extraordinary voice, but also for her genuine heart and the positivity she brought into the lives of so many. But amid the mourning, her tragic death became a powerful catalyst for change. Her family, led by her brother Marcus and their parents, made it their mission to turn their grief into action. They established the Christina Grimmie Foundation, an organization dedicated to supporting victims of gun violence and families affected by the devastating impact of such tragedies. Through the foundation, they sought to honor Christina's memory by creating a legacy of compassion and hope. The foundation became a voice advocating for stronger security measures at public events and greater awareness of the risks faced by public figures, especially those who interact closely with their fans. Christina's story also sparked a broader conversation about the importance of mental health awareness and the need to address dangerous obsessions before they escalate. Experts began to emphasize the signs of stalking behavior, encouraging people to take them seriously rather than dismissing them as harmless fandom. The tragedy shed light on the thin line between admiration and fixation and how easily it could cross into dangerous territory. Stalking, often dismissed as a private issue, was thrust into the public eye as a societal concern that needed urgent attention. Within the music industry, her death prompted significant changes. Artists and management teams began rethinking how meet and greets and public events were organized. Venues started implementing stricter security measures, including bag checks, metal detectors, and increased surveillance. Performers, especially those rising in fame, were encouraged to be more vigilant about their safety and to balance fan engagement with precaution. While Christina had always prioritized connecting with her audience, her tragic story became a reminder of the importance of protecting both fans and artists. The tragedy also reignited debates about gun control in the United States. Kevin James Loyble had obtained his firearms legally despite his deteriorating mental state, highlighting gaps in the system that allowed dangerous individuals to access deadly weapons. Advocacy groups used Christina's story as a rallying cry for change, pushing for more comprehensive background checks and stricter regulations on firearm purchases. While progress in this area was slow and met with resistance, Christina's case became a symbol for those advocating for safer communities. For Christina's fans, the loss was deeply personal. Many had followed her journey from the very beginning, watching her grow from a YouTube performer to a nationally recognized artist. To honor her memory, fans organized online campaigns, memorials, and fundraisers to support causes she cared about. Her YouTube channel became a digital shrine, with countless comments flooding her videos, expressing love, grief, and gratitude for the impact she had on their lives. Her music continued to resonate, serving as a source of comfort and inspiration for those mourning her loss. Despite the pain of her untimely death, Christina's legacy endured in profound ways. Her story served as a reminder of the importance of kindness and authenticity in a world that often prioritizes superficiality. She had been more than just a performer. She was a role model, a friend to her fans, and a symbol of the power of following one's dreams. Her life, though tragically short, left an indelible mark on the lives of millions. As time went on, Christina's family worked tirelessly to ensure that her memory would not fade. Through the foundation, they provided financial and emotional support to victims of gun violence, turning their heartbreak into a force for good. Christina's name became synonymous with hope, change, and resilience, inspiring others to carry forward the values she had embodied during her life. Even as the world moved forward, the questions surrounding Christina's death remained a somber reminder of the unpredictability of fame and the dangers that come with it. Her story, while heartbreaking, sparked meaningful conversations and changes that continue to shape the world of music and beyond. Christina Grimmie's voice was silenced far too soon, but her impact endures, echoing through her music and the lives she touched. Her legacy serves as both a cautionary tale and a testament to the enduring power of compassion, reminding us all to treasure the light even in the darkest of times. Thank you for watching Mystery Minds, where we uncover the stories that shock, intrigue, and leave us questioning the world around us. What do you think of today's case? Could Christina's death have been prevented? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that delve into the darkest corners of true crime. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.